it's not. You know, when you're a Texan, you can always. That's right. That's right. The world is your oyster. You can go anywhere on the planet if you are a Texan. And I, yes, and I took advantage of that. And even when I was overseas, I ran into nothing but Texans. People, South Africa, Uganda, Bosnia, and what? Texas, 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 Dallas, Houston, Fort Worth, Texans everywhere. Yeah, yeah. And so since then, of course, I worked like with Amazon and places like that. But I got my insurance license when I was working for the census. So yeah, so I worked with the census for the National Crime Victimization Survey with the Justice Department. And so, yeah, so I receive so many cases from Washington, D.C. a month, and then I go and interview the different people and ask them whatever the questions are. The questions were generated by the answers that the person would give me. Hmm. Exactly, exactly. So each survey was unique to the person that I was asking the questions to. And it could be from a person that's 12 years old all the way up to infinity. Hmm. It was very interesting. Oh no, right here in Washington. And believe it was very interesting. That was in 2018. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then now they, like I did the National Crime Victimization Survey. They had wanted me to do some work on the decennial this year, but the pandemic hit. Yeah, and so now they were asking me questions about the American Housing Survey because they're anticipating a lot of people being evicted and homeless. Um, yeah, come November, right in time for Thanksgiving, of course. Yeah. So they've already started in West Virginia with people being evicted, like thousands and thousands and thousands of people. So, yeah. No, no, it's just like if you don't hire me and stuff like that, I can still pay. I said in case you don't hire me, I'll still have something, you know. Yes, because ever since I came back into the country, I worked with Halliburton, KBR, and then overseas it's called SEII with the log cap project. And when I came back to Washington, nobody wanted to hire me. And really, really, and they didn't like Texans very much either. So when they found out that, oh my gosh, oh, I've gotten so much backlash because of that. Because that's where the bulk of my experience comes from, working in Texas, and I worked for Enron, and then I left Enron and I worked for PricewaterhouseCoopers when that whole thing happened with Enron. I worked with Ken Lay. Yeah, yes, sir. Yes, yes. And right when Enron was falling, going to pieces, and they were trying to get in, the employees were trying to get into their 401ks and they couldn't get into it. That's the work that I was doing at PricewaterhouseCoopers with Global Human Resources Solution. We did the defined benefit compensation plans. And yeah, and so the whole thing with Greenspan, he came and got my files, my emails. I didn't shred a thing. I always did what I was supposed to do, as a good Texan is supposed to. I did not rest on my laurels. I could definitely not do anything to embarrass the family. And so yeah, they audited me. They audited everybody in my family. And even when I moved to California, because I left Texas because of 9/11. when, yeah, I was at work at my desk when that was happening, and people were coming and telling me a plane just hit one of the World Trade Centers in New York. And I thought they were kidding. I just did not believe it. And I went to the break room to get some more coffee, like about an hour or so later, and everybody was just in there, just standing around the television in shock. And and when I saw it, I was just like, oh my goodness. And I went back to my desk and I had all these voicemail messages that I hadn't picked up with, family members and stuff asking about the people that I supported, were they okay? Because of course we traveled all the time. And it was a big deal for us because of what was happening at Enron. Our competition, Arthur Andersen, they lost their license to do accounting services in the state of Texas. But PricewaterhouseCoopers, we were good because we were doing what we were supposed to do. Hmm. Yes, sir. Hmm. Right. Right. That's right. That's right. Uh huh. Right. Hmm. And see, we knew that Arthur Andersen was in trouble because whenever we would go to like different meetings and stuff, like all the executive assistants, we would all get together once a month and have like different brainstorming what problems we were having, and everybody was talking about the executive assistants at Arthur Andersen coming to work like in the summertime, which we had just came through, right? Before 9/11. 9/11 happened in September, so the summer before that happened. The Arthur Andersen executive assistants were coming to work in flip flops. That you don't do that ever, ever, and that's how they were coming into the office. And that was a red flag for us executive assistants that, of course, we went back to our partners and said, hey, is there anything that we are partnering with Arthur Andersen on? Because if it is, we need to get out of that. Because we didn't even, no, that was while I was at PricewaterhouseCoopers. I had left Enron because I had gotten a job offer to come over to PWC. So I had left right in the nick of time, you know. But this wasn't happening at Enron. It was the one of the big six accounting firms that was handling accounts for Enron. They were the ones that were signing on those deals, and knowing that it wasn't appropriate. And when it came down to shutting down that website for a person like an employee, you log in and you put in your credentials and you can go and look at your account and see how much is in your 401k, and you can make changes and different things like that. Well, they were the ones that were managing that website, and they shut it down where the employees could not access their accounts. See, that's why that happened. While the brass in Enron was selling stock and doing all kinds of stuff, dumping all of their 401k stuff, getting their annuities out of there, they were doing all of that. Yes, while the regular staff could not access their accounts to do anything. And then the next thing we knew, 9/11 happened. And everything was just complete chaos.